My mother had asked repeatedly, "Do you really think it's possible?" First, that he would get the nomination. In due course, of course, he did. So then, well, if that could happen, could he really go on and win? Nah, we'd said, he couldn't become president. But the shock, no less a con than the rest of his campaign, is by some cruel parody of representative democracy, yes, he could. Never mind that millions preferred the alternative. Less than 100,000 votes combined across 3 states trumped their will. I agree, it shouldn't have gotten that close. But the active participation of Comey and the Russian government, precisely choreographed for maximum damage, took their toll. And that, after a sustained assault aimed at minority suffrage. No, should the rude orange hate spout, untrained and amoral, take the oath, the boxes may have been checked, the rules said to be square. But there's no way on earth those foxes could ever persuade justice it was fair. Over the past year, the tension between black and blue boiled over repeatedly. This graphic injustice displayed on screen black killed by blue, who often then beats the charges. But that there's a need to argue Black Lives Matter isn't about blue, but more white in blue, Trump white, the precise hue. No, all law enforcement isn't a rut of racists, nor all Trump voters. But through both run a vein of white supremacy on which privilege's poison flower grew and flourished, lending legitimacy to practices that betray the stories we've been sold about this country's values, of justice and of opportunities for full equality spanning issues from race to sex to creed to homeland to who you're created to love. We are, all of us, Americans, even those who can't yet check off privilege's boxes all. I'm comforted by the fact that there are more of us and younger. With first moves in mind, what's likely in store over the next 4 years demands we see there is but one kind. They say Weimar Germany was one of the most sex-friendly climes the world had ever seen. No matter the preferred fun, one could find it there, the best of the bad. The next face that Germany showed to the world was Hitler's raging insanity. After the right to marry case, the way of the LGBT community here was never more promising. Till Trump, that is, whose pence alone belies any half-hearted hand that might come from the chump. I wonder, is it us? Do our many talents include bringing on fascism? Are our rights so far out? The pendulum that swings on back frees up every ism premised on hate, making people succumb to their basest emotions and express that ugly? Okay, so I'm a little paranoid, and thusly charged, I confess readily. But in the whole caboodle of conmen assembled for supporting roles, not a single one is a friendly face. Though perhaps they won't be promoting violence, more than sticks and stones hurt me. Here's my most paranoid thought to date. In exchange for Putin's interference with U.S. elections, Trump promised Putin that as president, he'd be just as loathing of his LGBT citizens as Putin himself. I said it was paranoid. And yet each of the partisans he's named have histories that are so far out there that they're beyond the horizon. One guy, the congressman, gets a 0 rating from HRC. Another one thinks we're goat fuckers and is a hero among Christians. They are being led by the hater-in-chief Pence, the champion of his own state's religious freedom lie. But that isn't the most dystopian part of my chill. Scarier still is what Putin's up to. The USA turning its back on the values and progress that is our equality and suborning them to hate and violence might cement a concord based on our oppression. True still, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean there isn't someone out to get you. In 1992, Times reviewer Frank Rich took issue with then Veep Dan Quayle and his stance on family values. Per Rich, who'd been looking for a musical he could take his young children to, the show that evidenced those values best was not Cats, Les Mis, or a pair of others. No, the musical that ultimately got the nod was Falsettos. Rich liked the fact that, quote, gay people are just part of the family, close quote, and those families' values stacked up fine next to any other. I'm reminded of this article when I attended the revival. Love is blind, the lyrics tell us, and here's, I think, why. Love lets differences be. Any kind of adjectives, male, Jew, black, gay, Latin, or wherever on those continuum, isn't who someone is. Love won't bat an eyelash at those if the parts make the sum of a human whole we love. At day's end, it isn't others we're meant to assess. These values aren't a parade of pretend. They're love. In the myriad ways it says yes. So what now? Canada? Nah, it's too cold. And Israel is, well, too hot. And besides, creating the country that we were sold on is worth sticking around, as the sides red and blue become even more estranged. I do think that ultimately Blue's view looking forward will prevail as the changed judgments of youth mature into a new majority. Oh, wait. We already are the majority. Those of us for whom America is everybody, not only the privileged who heretofore ran the show. I had never understood as more than exercise what was taught me in typing class. Now's the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Till now, that is. The values and freedoms America aspires to are the best shot humanity's got, the problems they present being far outweighed by the blessings they bring. These are my freedoms, my values, and leaving them behind is not a choice. Know this when the rallying cry sounds. We are not throwing away our shot.